A letter from beyond the grave, a message signed by a dead woman's hand. Was it a ghost, a cruel joke, or proof that the past never stays buried? I'm Detective Drayk, and tonight we're opening a case where the dead spoke and the living listened. Why keep watching? Because by the end, you'll realize some secrets don't just haunt you, they hunt you. It started with a knock at midnight. Julia Carter answered her door to find an envelope on the mat. No stamp, no postmark, just her name in shaky cursive. Inside was a single sentence. "Meet me at the old lighthouse. I'll tell you what really happened to me." Lena. Problem? Lena Dawson, Julia's best friend, had drowned a year ago to the day. Julia drove to the lighthouse. She never came home. When I arrived at the scene, the air reeked of salt and rust. Julia's body lay at the base of the lighthouse, neck broken, her hand clutching the letter. The coroner said she'd fallen, but the lighthouse door was locked from the outside. The audience, you, were with me as I picked the lock. Remember when I climbed the spiral stairs? You thought the killer might be waiting at the top, didn't you? But all I found was a dusty desk and a stack of letters, dozens of them, all addressed to Julia, all signed by Lena. The first was dated 2 weeks after Lena's funeral. The suspects? First, Lena's husband, Michael. He'd inherited her fortune, but rumors swirled he'd been having an affair. Then there was Dr. Evans, Lena's therapist, who'd prescribed her antidepressants before she died. And finally, Julia's brother, Tom, a recovering addict who'd borrowed thousands from Lena and never paid it back. As I read the letters, a pattern emerged. Lena accused Julia of betraying her, of stealing what mattered most. But what? The answer came when I found a photo tucked in the stack. Lena and Julia at a beach, laughing. On the back, a note. "You were there that night, you know." The audience shouted, "Check the date on the photo." It was taken the day Lena died. Julia's alibi. She'd told police she was home alone. But the lighthouse had a security camera, long broken, or so I thought. The breakthrough came when I dusted the lens. The footage was corrupted, but a tech expert recovered a clip. Lena, alive, arguing with someone off camera the night she drowned. The timestamp, 9:47 p.m. Julia's alibi was a lie. I tracked down Lena's boat rental receipt, signed for 9:30 p.m. that night. She never took the boat out. Someone else did. The final twist. The letters weren't from Lena. They were from Michael. He'd forged her handwriting, luring Julia to the lighthouse to silence her. Why? Because Julia had seen him that night, not Lena, sabotaging the boat. He'd killed his wife for the insurance money and framed her death as a suicide. But Julia knew too much. Or so I thought. As I cuffed Michael, he laughed. "You really think I'd be this sloppy?" He tossed me a key to a safety deposit box. Inside was a letter, this one typed, "You're halfway there, detective." But the lighthouse wasn't the end. It was the beginning. The handwriting matched the others. The real forger, Dr. Evans. She'd been manipulating Michael, feeding his greed to cover her own tracks. Lena hadn't drowned. She'd been injected with a drug that mimicked death, a drug Evans had prescribed. Lena was alive, hiding, and Evans was blackmailing Michael to keep her that way. So you see, this case was anything but simple. A letter from a ghost who wasn't dead, a killer who wasn't guilty, and a truth that twisted like a knife. But that's the thing about the past. It doesn't send letters. It sends reckoning, and this one was just the beginning.